أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. By the barakah of Sidi Shaykh Sidi Mohamed Faouzi Al-Karkari قدس الله سره. Notes from lecture of November 17th, 2024, part 2. Before starting this video, I would like to say that this work would never have seen the light without Sidi Shaykh. If something is wrong, it will be from myself, and everything that is correct is from Sidi Shaykh. In the first part of this lecture, Sidi Shaykh spoke about justice, ʿadala, from a Sufi perspective. He explained how the human being is unable to be just to themselves and to others. Sidi Shaykh explained that for every person, there are two forms of injustice and two forms of justice. He described these as an injustice between the individual and God, and an injustice between the individual and God's creation, as well as a justice between the individual and God, and a justice between the individual and God's creation. Regarding the injustice between the individual and God, Sidi Shaykh stated that one can rectify the matter because God is forgiving, Ghafoor, and merciful, Rahim. If someone has not perfected their fulfillment of God's obligations, they can make up for what they missed and rectify their relationship with the Creator simply by seeking forgiveness, istighfar, and God will forgive them. Regarding injustice against God's creation, however, Sidi Shaykh pointed out the impossibility of anyone claiming to have never wronged another person. On the contrary, they have likely wronged many. In Surah Ar-Rahman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and the sky he raised and imposed the balance, that you not transgress within the balance, and establish weight in justice. Sidi Shaykh explained that this balance is the equilibrium of the two scales. The two scales are balanced so that one scale does not rise over the other. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala linked the balance to the raising of the sky. He perfected the creation of everything, meaning everything is placed in the best of stature and in its place. So when someone entertains satanic ruses and psychological thoughts to try to control a situation, an imbalance occurs for them, disrupting the equilibrium of the balance and of the two scales, and they demolish the establishment of the sky that the Lord established as He willed. In this case, it's as if one is trying to partner with God in His command, His creation, and His power. Therefore, they wrong themselves. Sidi Sheikh added that if someone, for instance, falls into the sin of drinking alcohol, they harm only themselves, not others. If they seek forgiveness from God, He will forgive them, for the Lord is forgiving and merciful. However, if they have wronged another person, while God may forgive them, the wronged individual may not relinquish their right. Sidi Sheikh then posed the question, if everything belongs to God, what then does the right truly mean? Sidi Sheikh explained that God gave everyone an orbit, falak, their hearing, their sight, their tongue, their hand, their foot, and an orbit around them, a house, a work, etc. So if God gives someone authority over another, for example in the house or at work, and they do not fulfill that person's right according to the Creator's balance, they will be held accountable. Regardless of kinship or status, each wronged individual will take retribution. Some say, she is my wife, she has no right. On the contrary, Sidi Sheikh emphasized, a wife has the strongest right, being the last recommendation, wasiyya, of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When someone imagines they can manage their wife however they please, simply because they are her guardian, wali amr, for their own satisfaction, then, if they die and there is no forgiveness between them, she will take retribution from him on the day of resurrection. If this weren't the case, then even our mother Asiya wouldn't take retribution from Pharaoh, as he managed her by his own will and not according to what pleases God. The same applies to work. A manager with subordinates often manages them according to an intellectual law, yet the mind cannot grasp everything. They manage with outward apparent laws, not inner ones. They cannot understand why a person did this or why they did not. Unable to evaluate situations based on a just law, they are unjust to themselves. Therefore, to find peace, one should recognize that everyone has wronged themselves. They should not think that the authority God has granted them is exercised in accordance with God's will. On the contrary, the greater their orbit or their sphere of influence, falak, the greater the calamity against them, and the smaller the orbit, the easier the matter for them. Sidi Shaykh added that some people, by drawing nearer to God and performing supererogatory prayers, nawafil, have their supplications, dua, accepted. As God says in the Hadith Qudsi, were he to ask of me, I would surely give it to him, and were he to ask me for refuge, I would surely grant him it. If someone takes something from them, they make dua against them, or do a supplication of seeking revenge, and indeed, their supplication affects the one called upon. This one's knowledge and justice are not complete, for if they were truly just, they would know that what happened to them was a predestined decree, even though it occurred at the hands of a specific person. Had this person not been the instrument of God's decree, another would have taken their place. Thus, neither the decree nor the person through whom it manifests is chosen. One must simply be patient and steadfast, managing oneself and not attempting to manage others. They are not able to manage anyone. One should be a king of their human kingdom. They should try to manage their hearing, their sight, etc. Sidi Sheikh stated that if the disciple works on this approach, they will experience a breath of justice. They should leave everyone else and work on their own body and faculties, jawarah, because these faculties are words unto themselves. These words are sufficient to guide the hearing, the sight, and the hand, and to guard the tongue and the foot. If they achieve this level of guarding their faculties, jawarah, they will test something of justice. And if they apply this to their surrounding, falak, they will be saved from others. If they are saved from others, they will test what forgiveness means. And the more they test forgiveness, the more their mind, heart, and intellect will expand. And the more their thought and intellect expand, the more knowledge they will bear, wider and wider. Sidi Sheikh added that the mind does not comprehend information well, because it is narrow, ضيق. One, see it from one perspective and do not see it from other perspectives. So if one hears about the other perspectives, they either deny them, or if they believe and trust them, they don't work on them. But when one hears, believes, trusts, and works on them, then they will have this matter. So that was all for this video. Alhamdulillah الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق. اللهم لك الحمد، اللهم لك الحمد، اللهم لك الحمد. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم، وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون، وسلام على المرسلين.